Hello. Today, I am finally ready, sort of, to make this video. I've been kind of putting it off because it's such a huge topic. At this point, I only want to touch on topics. So, how do you possibly touch on UFOs without getting pulled down the rabbit hole? I don't know, but we're going to try today. Today, we are talking about UFOs. I wanted to start this off with a disclaimer that no matter what your faith or worldview is, we can all agree on this fact. People do see, or at least believe they see, unidentified flying objects. So that is why I feel comfortable enough making this video, no matter what, if you're a person in my life, or a person who thought you liked my content, whatever. I hope that this video won't offend you, because people of all walks of life and all faiths do have experiences with UFOs. In this video, I'm not going to try to assert what UFOs actually are. I'm only here to theorize and ruminate. I'm also not here to oppose anybody's beliefs or theories. Let's start off by talking about what a UFO is, an unidentified flying object. So the way I understand that word, like when I'm talking about a UFO, I'm not just talking about flying saucers or like weird crafts in the sky that we've never seen before. I'm also talking about lights in the sky, or really anything else that's flying that shouldn't be flying. Some UFOs are just lights floating slowly. Some UFOs are lights that just zoom. Some UFOs are giant crafts the size of a football field that make no sound. And some UFOs are, triangular shaped and make a humming sound. There's just so much variety that maybe they don't all belong in the same category, but I did want to reiterate that when I'm talking about UFOs, I don't just mean spaceships with aliens in them. Speaking of aliens, in this video, I'm not going to get into extraterrestrials or the extraterrestrial hypothesis. I would like to explore more of that later, but this is going to be a little more surface level, just exploring UFOs in general. I must admit, I am not fully engulfed in ufology because that's a very large world and large category. Ufology is definitely not my specialty. So what do I think of UFOs? I think that these phenomena that we are experiencing, we humans, but there are a lot of different things that could be happening here. And I've always just kind of taken accounts on a case-by-case basis. I have a lot of thoughts when I hear people's stories, but I'm still very open to hearing other people's theories and what the experiencer themselves thinks is happening to them. So here's a little list of the kinds of things I think could be behind this broad phenomenon. Is it biological? Is there some force of nature that we just don't know about yet that's causing things like this? Luminous creatures, ball lightning, some other sort of reaction that we just can't understand yet? When people see a light flying around very intelligently, is it some sort of biological entity that we just can't quite understand yet? I can't rule that out. Is it psychological? Are these sightings projections from within our own mind, or an outward reflection of something that's happening internally? Are we perhaps hallucinating? You always gotta throw that one out there for the skeptics. I personally don't really like to tack hallucination on any experience, but I do like to think about the psychological factor, because a lot of experiences seem to be like they're meant for the person. Like they're a tailored experience for the person experiencing it. Sometimes it seems like there's some sort of a synchronistic intelligence behind the things that are happening to certain people. The podcast, Where Did the Road Go? This is my favorite. This is what they ask somebody when they say they've seen a UFO. They say, well, what was happening in your life when you saw that UFO? A lot of times people see a UFO when they're going through some sort of tumultuous time in their life, some sort of upheaval in their life. There is a pattern sometimes to that which makes you think maybe it's not a hallucination, but there's some sort of like spiritual, psychological connection or reason for the experience. Are these things really extraterrestrial craft? Are they people or things coming from another dimension or another planet or whatever? Are they time travelers? Are they us from the future? And that's why the technology is so advanced and they're like peeking back to, I don't know, study us or something? The extraterrestrial hypothesis is debated, and I like the debate. I like to hear both sides. I'm open to the extraterrestrial hypothesis, as frightening as it is. And I'm not opposed to the it's us from the future idea either. That's pretty fun. And this is kind of random, but just think about this for a second. I think someone on Where Did the Road Go said this, and I'm sorry I can't remember who it was. But they said, yeah, these crafts are in the sky, they're flying around, but there's nobody in them. Are these UFOs some sort of ghosts or spiritual entities? I'm referencing Where Did the Road Go again. But as Soraya likes to point out a lot, if we're outside and we see a light in the sky flying around, that makes it a UFO. But if we're inside our house and there's a light flying around on the ceiling, well, that's a poltergeist or something. So why is it that there's such a big difference when you step through that threshold from within a building to outside a building that makes a phenomenon land in a different category? I know it sounds weird, but that's fun to think about. Are we simply just misidentifying everything? I mean, yeah, some UFOs are definitely planes, or military craft that we just don't know about, or drones. I feel like drones are gonna ruin everything. And yeah, there are hoaxes, sure. And you've probably heard it said that military technology is 20 years ahead of the technology we know about. So some of these things could definitely just be advanced technology and it's just us. And that also kind of brings to mind this concept of cloaking technology, which I haven't looked into too much, so forgive me if I'm ignorant. But the technology that would allow a vehicle or craft to become invisible or unseen somehow. It also kind of makes you think about just like everyone can't see certain things flying in the sky. And maybe it has to do with your, psychic ability and just your perceptual skills. Or maybe there is some sort of like weird cloaking technology behind it. I heard someone say once that the skies are very, very busy. They're high traffic, but we just can't see the stuff that's going on. And that's kind of creepy. Now I always look in the sky and I'm like, is there a bunch of stuff flying around and going on up there and I can't even see it? So there's just a little bullet list of possible categorical explanations for these types of phenomena. And see, when you think about all that, it's really kind of hard to put UFO, make it one all-encompassing category. But that's what we've done. And sometimes I feel like we're not any closer to understanding anything since Roswell, whatever. And I want to talk about evidence. It gets on my last nerve that people say, pics or it didn't happen. Or they say, well, if you saw that flying around, why didn't you take a picture of it? Ugh. I feel like I shouldn't even have to address this, but I will. When you see something suddenly, you're gonna look at it. You're not gonna fumble around looking for your phone or your camera and then open your camera and hold it up there. You're gonna watch the thing happen, And even if you did happen to have your phone in your hand and you turn the camera on, it's very likely that it couldn't pick it up. If you're seeing something in the sky, especially if it's nighttime, have you ever tried to take a picture of the full moon with your camera phone? How'd that turn out? And let's say you do manage to get a great video or a great picture. It could be 100% real, but that can't convince everybody. Everyone will just say, oh, that's a drone. Oh, that's a plane. Oh, that's Photoshop. So there's just no pleasing people. So that's the interesting thing with ufology, is that you really just have to come to your own conclusion when it comes to photo, video, or even just an anecdote. You have to take it for what it is and what it means to you. Do I think that the government, I'm like paranoid even saying that, do I think the government knows more than they say? Well, we've had a little bit of hints at disclosure lately. An acknowledgement of sorts. I don't think it was really disclosure, but we do get some acknowledgement sometimes. Honestly, I think they might know a little bit, but not a lot more than we do. This is kind of getting into ET stuff, but I don't really think they're like working with a group for another planet, you know what I mean? I think as humans, there's still a lot we have to learn about our world, and perhaps the government has acknowledged some abnormalities, but can't really discern what is going on. I guess I should answer the question, have I ever seen a UFO? Well, I've always been scared of aliens, so as a kid I would kind of avoid looking up into the sky. But I did see something weird a couple of months ago, and I spent about 30 seconds watching it and did not pull out my phone because I was trying to see what it was. And it was in the middle of the day, and I'm not gonna rule out that it was some really weird, really in sync flock of birds, but yeah, I've seen something I couldn't identify. Well, I'm gonna cut this video off here. It would be so easy to ramble on more, even about the things I've touched on today, but I'm gonna try and be a little more short and concise. I'd love to continue the conversation, so if you've ever seen a UFO, or if you have any thoughts about UFOs, or if you want me to expound more upon a UFO or extraterrestrial related topic, let me know, because I would love to dig deeper, but not too deep. There are other topics that come to mind that I might want to cover later, like USOs, or is Bigfoot related to UFOs? And then certain cases, like I really like the Flatwoods Monster case. Alright, thank you to any of the paranormal buffs who stumbled upon this video. I hope you kind of enjoyed it or something. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye forever.